Hello, beautiful Sagittarian souls. This is your psychic advisor, Micah, and I am here with your 2025 tarot forecast. I told you I would get better at speaking the more I did these videos. I was a little bit out of practice. I'm like I long for the days for when my videos were 4 minutes. I don't even know. I need to go back and watch those. I'm like, I don't even know how I did that, what I was talking about, how I got information across in 4 minutes. But here we are, 2025. We're going to be looking at all the different energies that you can expect. I'm going to start this reading off in April. If you were to get your own personalized tarot forecast for 2025, I would be able to look at the months leading up to, like, I would be able to look at, I'm recording this in October, so I'd be able to look at, November, December, January, February, March, and then probably do another spread, and then I would be able to see like the trajectory for the rest of your year. But so this is a video will be good all year round, probably for the next couple years afterwards as well. Um, and I always say that I'm not going to explain the way that I read, and I'm just going to get to the point into the story. But I think that people will find clarity and meaning, and when I explain it. So I do a horoscope spread where I pull a card for each of the different astrological energies, which also correlate to different aspects of your life, and then also the different months of the year. So as we start with the first card, which is the Two of Cups reversed in the first house, this means that the energy of the Two of Cups in your life is going to be circling around the Aries energies of your life. So what is Aries energies? Aries energies are, it's like your baby, like your child, it's your father's side of the family, it's your self-esteem, it's the hat that you wear on your head, it's your hair, it's sunglasses, it's accessories, it's things like that. So there might be some type of hat or sunglasses or accessory or your Stanley Cup or your iPhone that you use and you brandish it almost like how a knight uses his sword, and you're breaking up from that. It could even be like your connection to your father. You might be like using your dad's name for clout or for attention or whatever it is, and you're breaking up from that. And so in the month of April, also in April 2025, there could be a lot of people, not just you, that are going through breakups or ending relationships. And let's be honest, like as a Sagittarius, like your makeup, breakup, take up everybody's time, right? Uh, and so the energy, so let's actually start here. The energy that you're walking away from, the descending energy, the energies you're walking away from is the Chariot. So you might have been like, I really need a computer, or I really just need a website. I need a car. I need. And I think that I mean, you do need those things. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you need those things. You deserve those things. You want those things. Whatever. Great. All those things help. But it's like this victim mentality, and it's something that I was actually talking to myself about before I started this video, because I was like, let me, like, the way that I do these readings, I have like a table for my computer and I have a table for my cards, and sometimes that makes me turn away from my computer, which is usually why I have the microphone. But right now I'm just projecting my voice, and you can kind of hear when my head turns. And I was like, why don't I just put my computer and my cards like right next to each other, so I don't have to have this. Like, why do I have this like victim mentality of like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Like, let me just rearrange some things. I'm not going to waste your time with quoting movies and things like that, but it is very much the energy of it does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty, right? So the problem with the Haitians, I think there actually is an issue with Haiti in America right now. Don't watch the news, so I wouldn't know. But just to quote Cher Horowitz, all we have to do is to go back in the kitchen, rearrange some of the place settings, and it'll be like the more the merrier. Okay, does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty. It also doesn't say that you have to have a Tesla. It also doesn't say that you have to have an exact .com or .biz or whatever. But it has also been a philosophy of mine that I don't trust websites that aren't .com. And all the websites that I've created or been a part of for the past 10, 15 years have always been .com. But in the past 3 or 4 years with my own business, I've been like, what is it, like dot square dot site, you know? And I know that can be like a deterrent for people, especially in the spiritual space where there's already like a lot of broken trust. But just know that, I mean, like if you're the best chef in the world, like you're the best chef, you make your best pastry chef in the world, you make the best croissants better than anybody else. You know, you don't use the laminating machine to roll out your dough. You hand roll your dough. People see this, they know this about you. Whether if you have a MySpace, a Facebook, an Instagram, a regular website, no website at all, you will be appreciated for your talent. Okay, so that's the descending energy, the energies you're walking away from. It could be something that your father is saying about you, or people from your father's side of the family, like, oh, he doesn't have a car, he doesn't have a website, doesn't have a St. Christopher medal, like amulet for protection. Uh, because I think that one of your greatest resources, Sagittarius, is the High Priestess, which is your divine esoteric knowledge. Because what we have going on in May, in the season of Taurus, in the season of wealth, finances, and priorities, we have the High Priestess. So it's saying to me that your greatest asset is your psychic abilities. It's the way that you'll be able to make the most money throughout the entirety of your life. So that's like the thing too, because it's like, okay, whether if you are a full-blown psychic, if you are a assistant manager at McDonald's, if you are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, your greatest asset is going to be your intuition. And I think that having the High Priestess here in your second house is so powerful because arguably the High Priestess is a Taurian card. So it's like this very blunt, frank, um, almost like a behaviorally challenged child sitting in the back of a classroom just shouting out the answers, you know? Is Daniel cheating on Margaret? Yes, she is. You know what I mean? And it's like they don't have to know that. Like, you can meet some couple. It's like, okay, here's Daniel and Margaret. And it's like, oh, okay. And Daniel's like, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about going to Bali this weekend. And Margaret's like, oh, well, I'm stuck at the office. And it's like, Daniel is cheating on Margaret. It's like, interesting. Or I actually saw this thing with this comedian that I like, Chris Stefano, who's like, he's like very northeast. He's very like, I don't know if he's from Jersey or from Staten Island, but he's like very northeast. And I feel that, I feel like, I think the reason why so many people go unreflected or unanalyzed is because there's things about themselves that they don't want to realize. And that when you do things like stand up, I think the thing that people are realizing, it's like, not like, I don't really believe in people being gay or straight. I just feel like people are people. But it's like, if you ask, like someone was saying to me, like they don't really like Dolly Parton, right? And I was like, oh, like I've never really thought about like liking her or hating her. I just kind of like, she was there, It's like, oh, Dolly Parton, like whatever, Never thought her breasts were really that big or impressive or attractive. I don't know. But my aunt, who I guess grew up more on the forefront of, Dolly mania or whatever, she's like, I can't stand her. She's gross. She's always talking about her breasts and like she's old and ugly and like da 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 da. She's like, I was like, I've never really thought about not liking Dolly Parton. Like that's interesting. I was like, yeah, I guess she's not that great. I was like, yeah, I only really like 9 to 5 anyway. And I was like, never really never really thought about it. So with a lot of comedians or a lot of people in general, being gay, or like to them being gay is like opting to be short, It's like they're like, I've never even thought about being gay, like other than at 6 o'clock in the morning when they're super horny or something, right? H word. And through self-reflection and like analyzation, you're like, oh man, maybe I'm only attracted to these kinds of women because I'm trying to piss off my mom, or I'm only attracted to this and that because I'm trying to piss off my dad. And it's a whole arc that I'm on to prove my masculinity to somebody who's most likely gay as hell anyway, So just take things in stride and in knowledge. Like, you might be watching this comedian and they're talking about how they think their girlfriend's cheating on them, or you might be watching a female comedian. She's like, I think my husband's gay. He always hangs out with his friends and he's part of some adult baseball league that isn't MLB, and then MLB is pretty crazy too. But it's like, and they just be wearing short shorts and slapping each other on the butt and taking showers together, and it's weird, and I don't like it. Which, whatever, that's for your preference. But stuff like that, it's like act like you know, take what you know. You know what I mean? Um, if you're talking to your teenage child and you're like, "Are you smoking cigarettes?" And she's like, "No, I'm not smoking cigarettes." And she's literally like, has a lit cigarette steaming in her hand, or has breath as fragrant of tobacco. It's like, okay, she's telling you one thing, but you know in your heart, your mind, and your intuition that something else is going on. Okay. So then moving right along into the third house, or what we'll call Gemini season, or the month of June, 2025, we have the reverse Eight of Wands. And I don't know, I'll probably have to go double check because I haven't been the best astrologer in the world. But the Eight of Wands reverse always talks to me about Mercury retrograde. So I don't know if there's a Mercury retrograde at that time, if there's some other planetary retrograde that might be impacting your communication. But seeing the Eight of Wands, Gemini, third house, it's like, if Mercury ain't retrograde, you're in retrograde. Like, something's happening. There's a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of miscommunications. You could be dealing with a lot of people from overseas. As a Sagittarius, you could be dealing with a lot of people who don't have college education, and you do. And the things that they say don't make sense to you. And then in the month of July, Cancer season, your mother, your home, your feelings, your emotions. We have the Queen of Swords here. So the Queen of Swords, she seems to be a very like forward-thinking woman person. I usually see this card representing a name like Trixie, Tracy, Stacy, Benny, Bobby, Booby, like anything that's like chicksy and cutesy. And the Queen of Swords is usually a woman that needs to shave, or that has like a muzzle, like has like stubble, like a beard. And if she doesn't, she could be a woman that's being used as a beard, as we're always talking about gay people over here. Or, I mean, 'cause it's such a big thing, like gay people, lavender marriages. I think a lot of people on YouTube, or a lot of people in general, think that they're going to be famous for whatever reason. And they're like, when I'm famous, I don't want to be famous for being me. I want to be famous for being somebody else. And I can definitely see that in a Libra, Queen of Swords type of energy. This also, like, I don't know, the Queen of Swords, sometimes for me in my readings are the people that I know. But sometimes, especially because it's a court card, you might see these people more as like trump cards or whatever. But I kind of see this as like Azealia Banks, Princess Nokia, uh, Cardi B. Did I say that? Cardi B, Azealia Banks, Princess Nokia. Like singers and performers that you have a lot of feelings for, that you would call mother, who are air signs. And you might have a lot of feelings for them. They might help you. Azealia Banks reposted one of my Instagram stories one time. So she's definitely mother. And, okay. And so, the next month, next house, we have August 2025, the house of Leo, creativity, ego, sex, all those good things. And we have the Five of Pentacles here. This is like such an interesting reading because there's not a lot of Sagittarian energy in my chart at all, but I'm like, I feel this so much because, so the Five of Pentacles in your fifth house, you might be thinking that your poverty or your lack of finances is making you unattractive to people. You might even be feeling lame. There might be something wrong with your leg. There might be something wrong with your head. You might be missing an eye. You might look like young Frankenstein. You might be bleeding. There just could be like all these. You could be cold in the heat and hot in the, cold in the heat and hot in the cold. All types of crazy stuff could be going on with your body. And you're like, I'm so unattractive. I'm going through menopause. I'm sick and this. My leg's broken. My arm's broken. Nobody will ever love me. And like for some reason, and hopefully they're not just seeing like prey or victims, but like your pathetic nature right now or through 2025 or in August 2025, if you get sick, will make you more sexually appealing to people. And maybe a year or two ago, I was feeling very unwell. I was experimenting with like makeup and stuff, and I got this skin infection where my skin is like super duper dry and just like refuses to moisturize. And I was like, my life is over. Nobody will ever love me. Blah, blah, blah. All those things that you're feeling of low self esteem. And literally, like, the most egregious, blatant sexual advances I'd ever received in my little life, you know? So if there's something, some blight or something that, you know, you might have a mole or moles going on, you might get sunburned, you get an uneven tan, just like whatever, something that, you know, you might lose your car and have to walk everywhere, and you're like, no one's going to want to date me, I walk everywhere. That's going to be so appealing in August 2025. People are going to see you struggling with your winter coat on, walking in the summertime, and they're going to be like, that bitch is hot. That bitch walking around in her winter coat in the summer, in the fur coat in the summertime. That's sexy to me for some reason. I don't know. People are weird. So I see that being the energy in August, and then in September, we have the Eight of Swords here. So the Eight of Swords, especially this being like August and September, you know, I typically see this card, my go-to interpretation is that it is a card of self-deprecating humor. So, you know, it's like I'm trying to reverse it, but I used to go around having this joke when people would ask me about like, "Oh, who are you dating? Who are you interested in?" And I was like, "Dating, interested in." Honey, I'm just trying to pick out 72 names for all the cats that I'm going to live with. You know what I mean? And I don't have 72 cats, but that is slowly manifesting. So now I'm not saying that joke anymore. So that's how I always thought of the Eight of Swords. It's like the jokes that you say, the negative things that you unintentionally manifest. Um, so that's why I was seeing the Eight of Swords. But now, especially this being in the fall and some, you know, end of summer, fall months, like I was doing a personal reading for myself, and I was like asking my cards about something, and they were like, "No, just stay at home, don't do anything." Eight of Swords, just like wrap yourself in a blanket, don't do anything. And I was like, that's like the opposite of what I want to do right now. I want to go do a lot of something. So just like, you know, how can I go do something? And it was like, wear a turtleneck sweater. I'm like, it's hot outside. I'm not wearing no turtleneck. And then lo and behold, I went to go do what I wanted to do. Mosquito bites up into my neck, you know? So when your tarot talks to you, when God talks to you, I see the Four of Cups at the center of this reading. Do not ignore it. Like I've been literally getting dressed in the morning, and I've literally had like randomly a hanger snapping and breaking and dropping clothes to the floor that I wanted to wear that I thought I had lost, or um, you know, digging through clothes and a sweater just like falls on my head that would be a turtleneck be perfect for whatever situation. So there might be some like West Nile virus or something going on with mosquitoes, some itchy bugs, or also the Eight of Swords. It's not even necessarily just like bugs making you itch. It could be like itching to fight, or um, you know, itching with anxiety. And that's what's going on in September 2025. And then the energy that I see in October 2025. So October, I really wish the months were named correctly, because, you know, I was watching this video on TikTok, and this lady's like, tell me that astrology, or if astrology isn't real, then how come all the days of the week are named after planets? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they like planets or whatever. Like I could get 7 dogs or 9 or 10 dogs and name them after celestial bodies. That doesn't validate astrology. It validates my belief and my intention and energy that I give to astrology, but doesn't validate astrology. And but I do feel like if the months were named correctly, it would validate astrology or give people a lot of confirmation within their own minds. Because if they could see October as September as the actual seventh month, then they would realize what energies that October holds. Because the season of Libra and the month of October, it's like this very magnetic time. So, you know, people, when we're conjuring spirits or talking about spirit work, like, so some people think telekinesis is energy. Some people think that telekinesis is me having command over a spirit and then they're moving a coffee cup across your table. Um, But Libra, especially seeing this the Ace of Swords reversed, it's like it's a magnet. It's something that's magnetic. And Sagittarius, through your dealings, through these miscommunications with language, it might even be your own language skills that aren't very sharp. These miscommunications, you're conjuring or attracting unnecessary social drama. So, you might leave a mean comment under someone's page or something, thinking that it's no big deal, and then they try to drop the sword of Damocles on you. And then maybe they don't have access to attacking you, or maybe attacking you isn't that fruitful, so then they go attack your Virgo best friend instead. And yes, so October or October or September or whatever, 7 month, month 7, is this beautiful time of attraction and beautiful time of attraction, great time for relationships, cuffing season, all these things. And that's why it's so great to get a year ahead or a 6 month ahead or check in with me in August or in September to see what October is going to bring you. Because October is Santa Claus. October is Santa Claus. October is the harvest. October is Santa Claus. October is Venus. October is Aphrodite. It's Oshun. It's like, I don't know if it's really Oshun, but I'd say August is probably more Oshun. But it's like someone with a gigantic stack bringing you presents and toys and all the things you've been asking for from the universe. So if you've been asking for miscommunications and unconsciously focusing on things like, oh, I'm so sick of the people at the Starbucks. They don't speak English. They keep messing up my order. Was I talking McDonald's or wherever? And you're constantly focused on that. You're always thinking about that. You're like, man, like, I always have bad interactions when I go to restaurants or go to fast food or whatever, because they don't speak English or blah, blah, blah. I should have learned Spanish from my mother. I should have learned this language. I should have learned that language. You're attracting a situation where you don't know the language. So, you might even be like trying to go on a trip somewhere where some Gemini place, I don't know, maybe like Asia or Japan or Europe somewhere. Mozambique? I don't know. You tell me you comment down in the comments and you tell me what countries and cities you think are Gemini. But honestly, because also Gemini is Sagittarius' opposite energy. So, you might be Dominican and you're going to Puerto Rico and you're like, I'll be fine. And you get there and they're like, what is this language? Or, you might be Spanish from Spain and you go to Mexico in a certain place where they're speaking like a Mayan language and you're just as much of a foreigner as anybody else. So that's like very synchronistic. So what is getting this reading and having this knowledge do for you? Maybe you don't go on this trip. Maybe you get a translator. Maybe you download a really good translation app. Maybe, you stay at home. Maybe, some lady's talking to you some crazy language you don't understand and you just ignore her and move on instead of getting roped into somebody's psychobabble bullshit, right? These videos are not made for children, despite the little cartoon character. I reserve the right to curse during these readings. Okay, so that's October. So the best thing about these readings is that you can take control and focus over your psychic intuitive abilities and start manifesting something better than miscommunications, misfires, and not knowing a language. I feel like the Hermit would probably talk about Duolingo the most, but I think that the High Priestess, because of her silly hat, looks like the most like an owl. So this could be talking about doing Duolingo, being on the Duolingo podcast, um, make partnering or they really should partnering or doing a collaboration with Duolingo. And I just had this like brain blast, like this like great flash of intuition in my head just now of a company that I think would actually be really good to be featured on the Duolingo podcast. Probably not, but it's just in my head. I always try to think of things like that. Because the Duolingo podcast is filmed in DC at NPR. I think it's like It's an angel number too. I think it's like 1111 H Street. I've seen it before. A lot of places in DC or a lot of real estate will try to capitalize on angel numbers, even more so than spiritualists and tarot readers. And then, okay, so your eighth house, November 2025, your connection to occult spirituality, sex, death, and taxes. We have the Eight of Swords here. So there could be someone who's trying to steal money from you. There could be like the Eight of Swords is sort of like a trick or a treat, like trick or treating, like what you call it, like Halloween. So maybe this is just advice because I always tell people for your Halloween, like Halloween is a like I said with 7 month or October month 7, October. I know that's not the actual. I think October is the 10th month, but the way that I look at it, it's 7 month. It's the 7th month because it's the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like from Aries. So like April, May, June, July, August. Am I doing this right? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, month 7, 7tober. Um, is a great time. Is a very magnetic time. It's a very attractive time. It's a great time to talk to spirits. I actually think like I've discovered like May is the best time to talk to spirits, and I feel like the portal starts to close around November. So it's like open portal in May, closed portal around Halloween. But dressing up like somebody and putting someone else's name on you is like super heavy magic. So when you go to those like Spirit of Halloween stores and they have those generic costumes, it's much, even if you don't go there and buy those costumes there, it's much better to be a generic costume than to be an actual thing. So, you know, if we're getting dressed up for Halloween and I'm like, I'm going to be Madonna, right? And, you know, like, not to say, like, you're going to wake up and you're going to be, like, as old as her or like, it's new, and it's usually not the good things. Like, I'm going to dress up like Madonna, and then you wake up and you're, like, this 1980s icon on the level of, like, Eddie Murphy. And, you know, like, Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Eddie Murphy really should be on Mount Rushmore, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's usually not that. It's usually, like, Madonna has sciatica and now so do you because you manifested being her because you dressed up like her for Halloween, you know? You know, you dressed up like Michael Jordan and now your kids hate you or whatever little details that are going on in their life that you don't know about. So it's better to dress up like 1980s pop star or people are like, "Oh, what are you for Halloween?" I'm a 1980s pop star. I'm a little bit Michael Jackson, I'm a little bit Prince, I'm a little bit George Michael, like 1980s pop star. Like I think one year I dressed up as like a rock and roll pharaoh because I was like I had like a like you know a pharaoh costume and then sunglasses and I was like yeah like I'm a rock and roll pharaoh. It's not a real thing. Nobody's gonna lock me in a sarcophagus and I'm not gonna do cocaine with Mick Jagger. I'm just dressing up. You know what I mean? It's my little outfit today, rock and roll pharaoh. So I think that's the best type of Halloween costumes. This one time it was like this is a very like 2010s ironic Halloween costume, but my one friend he like dressed up in like a hoodie and like a very like urban style and then put a bunch of candy wrappers on him and he was like I'm a candy wrapper, like candy wrapper, WRAPPER, and rapper RAPPER. Eminem joke. Eminem song, Eminem joke. Okay, but so that's November. Ooh, we love November. But then moving right along to December or the Sagittarius month, and this is maybe why I was so like, screw November, I want to talk about December, or screw Scorpio, I want to talk about Sagittario, because we have the Four of Wands here, which the Four of Wands, it's a chuppah, it's your living room, it's marriage. It's a spiritual, ceremonial marriage. Maybe not even one that goes to the courthouse. You know, whatever. Maybe just between you two people. But also, I see it as like the 1111 card. So, October, November, December. Santa is looking at his list. He's checking it twice, and he wants to bring you something nice. You just have to be nice to these people that you're having miscommunications with. You can't be all rude and mean to people and think that the universe is going to bless you. You just have to like open up the portal, and this portal of receiving will be wide open in December for you. Most of 2025 looks very rough. It looks like very rough. And that's the thing too, because you might be a psychic or a tarot reader or whatever, and you might be dealing with people overseas who are saying that your messages aren't resonating or they don't understand you. And it's because of their lack of education, their lack of intuition, and not yours. And here's the thing too, though. So moving right along, so your birthday's gonna be great. Like, so if you feel throughout, if you're watching this in 2024 and it is August 2025 and you feel like you are on bald brakes, like you're like, man, my car is in such bad shape. Like, I should give it to the mafia so they can give it to someone else so they can whack somebody with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's like I'm doing myself a complete disservice with this car. Um, just know that by your birthday in 2025, things will be glowing. Things will be great. Things will be glowing. You'll be filled with energy and vitality and exuberance, and you'll just be like you'll have a recharge. Your batteries will be completely recharged. You might even buy a new phone in October. But here's the thing about that new phone in October, because moving right along into January of 2026, we're way, way in the future, time travelers. Um, we got the Ten of Pentacles reverse. So you may get this abundance of money. You might score and do like a $5,000 tarot reading. You might do a $2,000 tarot reading, and you're just like, I'm caked up. I'm going to buy a new car, a new phone, and a new house. And I'm going to live my best life in Shangri-La, the Ten of Pentacles. But this Ten of Pentacles is reversed. So don't invest with a Capricorn. Don't give a Capricorn your money. Don't give a Capricorn more than $10. They're going to cause you to overspend. And I've seen this for Sagittarius a lot, because I'm always warning Capricorns about Sagittarius. I'm like, I don't know, Capricorn, you got the Sagittarius on your back. And here's the thing about Sagittarius is that this is up for interpretation. This is just the interpretation that I received. Is that in lunar astrology, or what you might call Chinese astrology, the winner of the rat race, the winner of the Jade Emperor's calendar, the winner of, everybody who went to Siddhartha Gautama's bedside before he died, which I guess is a really important thing to do for Sagittarius, is to visit them at their bedside before they pass. The winner of that race is the rat, which is Sagittarius. And how did the rat, out of all of the animals that participated in this race, win? He defeated the dragon, the snake, the monkey, the pig, the cat, the rabbit. And it is because it is said, or what I've heard, the story, the myth that I have, is that it is said that because the rat is so cunning, and the rat is the most cunning of all the animals. And what did the rat do? The rat rode on the back of the ox the entire race, through the swamps, through the trenches, through the trudges. The rat was perched on the ox's back. And then right before the ox was able to cross the finish line, the rat jumps off of the ox's back and crosses the finish line, runs up to the Jade Emperor, Buddha, whatever. So whenever I see a Sagittarian and Capricorn couple, I'm like, that rat will screw you over and leave you in a millisecond. Less than a millisecond, less than 10 milliseconds. So do what you want to, do what you please. But who's to say? You know what I mean? Are Capricorns these benevolent saints that are just like so deserving of people's love and loyalty? Maybe not. Maybe they're trying to trick you into some type of pyramid scheme and screw over all your money. And that's something to know. And then, I've had people give me sales pitches where it's like, oh, well, everything's a pyramid scheme. I'm like, except for the things that aren't. So just be aware of that, and just be aware of that dynamic between you and Capricorn, and how Capricorn might subtly become aware of that. Okay. So, in conclusion, 2025 looks like a rough year, but the thing is, like, you may never discover your psychic abilities if you never had to go to war. You know, you might have been aware of them. You might be like, oh, I hear something in my head. You know, it tells me to buy broccoli instead of asparagus sometimes, or there's a blight on the broccoli, or, you know, whatever, whatever. I woke up this morning, I could taste Tex-Mex, and I went to the grocery store and I bought a bunch of tacos. You know what I mean? And that's your intuition. But when you go to war with a country, a person, or people, or even with yourself, and your life is being threatened and you're in danger, or you feel the ever loving presence of danger, or you survive a hurricane, or you know you survive a tornado, you have to pick your life back up after an earthquake. uh just know that you can do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest part of it, is knowing like you can do it, you can get through it. Through use That's what makes your intuition better. What I could have said instead of that 7 minute analogy is that rough seas make good sailors. So you wouldn't be a good sailor and you wouldn't be a good psychic if the sea was always calm. Sometimes there needs to be some static and some, and maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you want to stir the pot a little bit, you know, with this Ace of Swords in your seventh house. But if you notice that 2025 is a rough year for you, especially starting in springtime, just know that by around your birthday, and then especially, which I guess this isn't 2025 anymore, but especially in February. Like, if I was a Sagittarius, I would mark my calendar. February 2026, the Empress. If you've been looking to buy a new car, if you're trying to get pregnant, if you want to have a baby, if you want to buy a bunch of new dresses, if you're trying to get married, if you are trying to start a garden, if you want to start making, I think I said this already, dresses or chocolate, um, pillowcases, wheat, hay, buckwheat, barley, all that shit. It's coming to you February 2026. Hold on. Hold on for one more day. Every day that feels like a struggle and you can't fucking go on, pump the Wilson Phillips, break through the chains. It's coming. It's happening for you. And the thing is, though, with this energy like being so far in the future, it is very temporal, right? So this is your vibration already. Your vibration is that of the Empress. But you're singing all these sad songs, you're singing songs in other languages that you don't understand, secretly manifesting things against yourself. So you could be singing like La Bamba or La Cucaracha or something, you know, to your humming it to yourself, and somebody hears it and they take it as offense, like you're trying to mock them or make fun of them in some way. You know, you might be singing some J-pop song that has a lot of could be like racist, it could be like insensitive, it could be like misogynist, but you don't know. You don't know. Like, like someone could be, you could be in India and like someone's listening to R. Kelly and you're just kind of like, oh, we don't really listen to him anymore. You know what I mean? Um, or vice versa. Like, you could go to Japan and you're listening to Utada and they're like, oh, like she had some huge scandal. Like, we don't really Utada anymore. And then we're talking about like self sabotage and things like that, and like being the foreigner. And like, so I don't know if the word foreigner is politically correct. I don't know how hurtful that can be, whatever. But I always look at Sagittarius as the sign of the foreigner. So as Libra is like the sign of the liar, the lawyer, um, and Pisces is the sign of sadness, and Leo is the sign of happiness and joy, Sagittarius is the sign of the foreigner. So it could be the band foreigner, it could be the fact that, you went off to college, which, nowadays, if you're from, North Carolina or New Jersey and then you go to school in New York, that's not a big deal. But like 300 years ago, 200 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, like that's a whole nother country that you're going to college in. And then you come back to, Rhode Island or wherever the hell you're from, and you got a different accents, different things, you have had different experiences, you're less attached to the people that that's been going on, you're a foreigner now. You're a foreigner even in your own hometown. And I've noticed that a lot of times that like Sagittariuses will pick up and leave and go someplace else so that they can exude their exoticism, right? So this could be the self-sabotage part that I'm saying. Like, you could like pick up and leave and move to Mexico just to discover that the part of Mexico that you live in isn't really heavy in speaking English. And you're like, okay, I spent all that time doing the Duolingo podcast and studying English in school, and I'm still SOL shit out of luck here because they don't speak that here. Or, you're just not smart and you like go to Brazil thinking that they're going to speak Spanish and everybody speaks Portuguese. Or that Portuguese and Spanish are just so similar and they're like very unsimilar. Yeah, so I mean, the Knight of Wands is upright. So this is saying to me that secretly, intuitively, the secret is, the reason why you might be so ignorant or ignoring of the divine messages that God sends to you, that you might even be listening here in my video, is that because you're a sincere believer in sudden miracles. And whenever I'm doing affirmations or even like my Reddit readings and I see the Knight of Wands, okay, the Knight of Wands, it's some shocking, thrilling, passionate message from your past or someone who you hate or that you love or have a lot of lust for. But seeing it here in this position, it says that the listeners of this video, if they are not currently, then hopefully by March of 2026, they will be sincere believers in sudden miracles, and you will receive a sudden miracle in 2026, which is not so sudden. It's a little like a 2-year miracle, but like I said, like, time is temporal, distance is temporal, all those things. And so the energy that you're heading towards, I guess, throughout the rest of 2026 is the Five of Cups reverse. So it's analyzing all the things that you regret only to, it's like the Five of Cups reverse is being thankful for what you have. You could have floated away and drowned and died in that hurricane. Your car could have flipped over exiting the freeway just this morning, but you survived and you lived. 2025 looks like a rough year for Sagittarius, but it's on purpose. It's for a reason. You're meant to survive the trials that you're going through. It is to make you stronger. It's like God is just simply increasing the resistance so that you can build muscle finally. And the thing is, like, I listen to Abraham Hicks, and I think that sometimes when your body is going through certain things, you start to fantasize about stuff. Like a couple years ago, I don't know what the hell was going on with me, but I just loved to be hot. Like, space heater in the summertime. Like, I just loved the heat. I just wanted it to be like 100 degrees everywhere I went. And now that I'm a little bit older, like 80 degrees is too much for me. I'm like, I need an umbrella, and like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So that was me. And then, I listened to Abraham Hicks, and she talks about the path of least resistance. And I'm like, I'm all about that. Lower the friction. Like, let's go ice skating, Let's ice skate our way to success. But for Sagittarius, I guess it's like, yes, let's go ice skating to our success with less friction. But I want to do a triple sow cow on the way. I want to shoot an arrow really high up into the sky and say, hooray for me. I want that cheers. I want that adulation. It's a high. And just like any high, it's addictive. I will literally, if you can like message me or comment what that's about, or if you know what that reference is, I might do a free reading for you. Okay, so that's the thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. If you want your own personalized tarot forecast for November, for December, for all of 2025, this is basically what it would be about or sound like. And I would love to do that for you. Just, if you don't know how to do it, inbox me. I'll send you my link. Before you know it, you're all enlightened and aligned. Alrighty, see you in my next video. Bye.